Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to another video. All right, let's see what we got for you right now. If you like those classic commercial vans, well, you're looking at the right video. And you like those commercial vans that were quite rare nowadays, very rare, I would say, nowadays. Well, you're looking at the correct video. Let's see what we got for you right now. We have for you a 143 scale 1965 Fiat A50T. And like I said, this was a commercial little van. If it came out of the A50, I guess it used the same chassis from the A50, but they made it as a van. And this is from a company called Messaggerie Italiani. Excuse my Italian. I do not know anything about Italian. Messaggerie Italian. I'm guessing from what I understand, Italian Messenger. I guess that was the name of the company, and maybe you know this company. Maybe it still exists. Maybe it's not a bonus company. It happened once back in the 60s. Hey, who knows? Maybe they're still around. Even better. They'll say, oh my God, they represented our van back from the 60s. And they have it as a 143 scale. Hey, everything happens, and you never know what happens. All right. Now, this little van, like I said, it came out from the A50, the original A50. As you know, the Fiat A50 was a vehicle produced between 1964 to 1973. Now, the van itself, n- actually, the van itself, I'm not sure until when it ran. What was the dates that it ran? This was actually a three-door van. That was the T next to it. That was the one that was called A50T. And little car, very cute. I don't know, these little cars, you don't know if you want to drive them or hug them. They look so little cute cars. You don't know, with an cylinder with an engine of 850 cc's. By the way, let me go there. Now that we're talking about engines, let's talk about engines properly. In the US, it had an engine for 817 cc's, but I don't think the van was ever sold in the US. That was for the other 850s, whichever was sold in the US. Then you had a 843 cc's, and then you had a 903 cc's. So none of the engines that were ever produced for this little cars they even reached 1,000 cc's. So what I'm trying to say with all that, I don't know how much can they haul or can they drag with that small engine. You know, you cannot put a lot of weight in those cars because obviously they cannot take it. It's not meant for hauling heavy cars that maybe cannot take the weight. But again, after all, they still were there. These cars, if I'm not mistaken, they were mostly sold in Italy. Maybe in other countries. I know in Yugoslavia, back in the days with the old Yugoslavia, which now is like about seven different countries, they have Sastava. I think Sastava also made a out of the Fiat A50, they made their own van. But I'm not fully sure if it was this one or another one. I have it, but at this point, at this time, it's so many different cars. I cannot fully remember if it was out of this model specifically. But they sure had also a van that they brought they took from the Fiat Sastava. Now, again, like I said, I think this car specifically, I think it was mostly sold in Italy itself. Transmission wise, I don't even know if I have. Well, actually, let's say it. You had a four-speed manual, and listen to this. I'm not sure about the van. I keep saying I'm sure about the van because a lot of the options in these were also for the little sedan and the sports car, the convertible. Remember, the 850, they had a lot of different types of car. Like in chassis shape. It's really like that. And you also had a like I said, 4-speed manual and a 4-speed Angel convert, Angelomatic, semi-automatic with a torque converter. A lot of info, right? Just say semi-automatic and that's it. too much, too much detail. Like you trying to understand all of these. Let's see if I get some information about the van itself. There's not much info about the van because most of the information was for the car and for the coupe and for the but the van was probably the least remembered, the least liked. But now that we're talking about like, let's look at it and like it some more. I'm gonna let it go around a few times and I'll be right back. All right, guys. So tell me, if you have some type of memory towards this car. Maybe my Italian folks could probably speak a little more about the A50 van. What do you remember about them? Do you still see them on the road? Maybe you still see them on like in a car show, classic car show, or you probably got lucky and you still see one or two in the road. Hopefully they're taking care of them. These are true classics. Just because there are commercial vehicles doesn't mean there are any less. They're still part of history. You probably had family members that did deliveries on these type of cars and you don't know, and maybe you show it to your uncle or you show it to your grandpa or your father or your cousin or your sister. Your older sister did some deliveries. Who knows? These were little practical vans to drive around the city or town or the area itself. All right, guys. Don't forget to give me that beautiful thumbs up. I always say it, always like to remind you guys, if you like the videos that I'm doing, which I'm, believe it, I do it with the most pleasure. I love this. I love talking about these cars. Maybe a lot of what I'm saying makes no sense. And it's okay. We're humans. We can make mistakes. It's all right. I don't want to sound like a robot. I speak what I know a little bit. I speak what I read. And I try to say things that quite make sense and give the basic info on the car. All right, guys. Then don't forget to click and subscribe and the bell. Then next to the subscribe button will remind you when I'm posting more videos. You know how that goes. Yep. All right, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Like I always say, more than ever. And goodbye.